guys, welcome back to our channel.
Welcome back. Y'all are in for another great video.
Let's just jump right into it. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the dental admissions test. We'll share some resources with
Get it right. Resources. Repeat after me.
Shut up. Resources with you guys. We're going to give you a few tips that helped us out on the DAT, and we'll show you our scores later on in the video, so make sure you watch till the end.
So our first introduction to DAT preparation was in the 6-week summer enrichment program that we did at UDM. We went through a Kaplan course. So the Kaplan course was about 6 weeks, was it? Although looking back on my experience with the Kaplan course, I don't think it was the best DAT prep course. I do think it served its purpose in terms of kind of getting us acclimated to studying, introducing us to some of the hot topics that are frequently tested on the exam. I do think it served its purpose in that right, but the reason why I say that I didn't really think that the Kaplan course per se is really representative of the DAT is because to me it seemed as if the content was a bit easier.
And it's funny that we both feel like the Kaplan course is easy compared to the real DAT, because when we took our first practice test, we scored. So I don't know how that works, but for some reason the course itself seems too easy, but I don't know.
And it's easy in the sense of when you compare, when you are able to compare like the Kaplan course to some of the other DAT prep courses out there that we'll discuss, and you can really see the difference in the rigor of both.
So we took our first practice test with Kaplan, and we both scored around a 13, which is pretty low, because the highest you can get on the test is a 30. So obviously that just showed us how much we needed to study and prepare for the actual test. And of course we did that. And so although we submitted our application on June 1st, we still hadn't taken the DAT, but we had it scheduled for September 11th. And that gave us enough time to study. We started studying after the summer enrichment program, and I would say probably early July is when we started, all the way up until our test date in September.
Yep.
Okay, so the first thing we did was we started an 8-week study plan. And I found that on the Student Doctor Network, which I'm sure a lot of you probably already know about. There's so much information on that site. So definitely check them out. I will post a link to the 8-week study plan below in the bio of this video, so just be sure to look out for that. Since we had the summer off, we stayed in the house like the whole day, every day for the most part. If we didn't have to leave, we didn't leave. And we woke up probably around 8 a.m. every morning, and we would study from the moment we wake up all the way up until maybe about 5 or 6.
Yeah, it was a very miserable time. I would say. I remember my birthday. My birthday is August 5th. I remember being in the house studying.
We didn't do anything.
Jessica's like, I'm sorry that we have to study.
Did I at least make you a cake?
Like, did you make me a cake?
I think I made you a cake.
Oh yeah, thank you so much.
Anyways, so yeah, that's what worked for us, just isolating ourselves from everyone. So we did the 8-week study plan, and that the resources that asks you to have would be the Kaplan Blue Book, Cliff's AP Bio, Dat Destroyer, Math Destroyer, Crack the PAT, and Chad's Chemistry and Math videos. Okay, so we didn't really care too much for the Kaplan Blue Book and the Cliff's AP Bio. We started off doing it, but it didn't really work for us. I don't know why we didn't like it, but the first 4 weeks calls for you to study the Kaplan Blue Book and the Clips AP Bio mostly. So we kind of skipped the first 4 weeks and jumped straight to week 5 eventually. And that's where we focused more on DAT Destroyer and Math Destroyer as well as Chad's videos.
And I think the reason why we didn't really vibe with the Kaplan Blue Book and the AP Bio is because it was so much information. And I felt like they were covering information in these books that was just way too in depth.
Especially Clips AP Bio.
Yeah.
I feel like the Kaplan Blue Book was kind of easy though. Again, that's Kaplan. Like we said, Kaplan is kind of more on a baby scale compared to the real DAT. So I feel like the Kaplan Blue Book was a little easy, but the Clips AP Bio, it was just too much and all over the place.
And the Kaplan, if you know someone who has the Kaplan Blue Book and you can get it for free, then by all means, definitely use it as a resource because it could be a confidence booster. I would say so.
Yeah.
And again, remember, this is us speaking from our experience in 2014,
right,
what we were studying for. So things may have changed since then. So just keep that in mind as well.
So we really liked the DAT Destroyer and the Math Destroyer. The Math Destroyer is actually a little bit more tough than the actual exam, which is good because it really prepared you. So, you studied things that you probably wouldn't have studied, obviously, if you didn't use it. So it definitely prepared you for the real thing. And once you took the real thing, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air. So that's good. DAT Destroyer was amazing.
Yes, definitely recommend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't study without using DAT Destroyer. You have to use it.
Gotta get it.
So we followed the 8-week study plan's method for attacking the DAT Destroyer. And so basically we did 40 bio questions, 30 Gen Chem questions, and 20 organic chemistry questions per day, along with 1 Math Destroyer test per day. So every question that we guessed on, or if we got it wrong, or if we just didn't know the answer at all, we wrote down notes on the question, and we did that for every question that we just didn't know. And so every morning before we started a new set of questions, we would go back and review the notes. No matter how long the list got, we reviewed it from the beginning all the way up until the newest note that we put in there.
Exactly.
And that was good because it kind of reinforced everything, looking at it every day, especially for bio, because bio is more general, all over the place.
Yeah.
Versus organic chemistry is something you can learn and apply to other things.
Yeah. And again, by us doing that every single day, obviously it was, like she said, it was reinforcing what we had previously learned, but it was also kind of driving home those frequently tested topics, especially in biology. The DAT, they love to focus on a certain subset of topics, and so seeing certain questions repeated or certain topics repeated was helpful because we kept reinforcing that material.
Exactly. And so we went through the DAT Destroyer twice, 2 times through, and that was perfect because obviously the second time around we hoped to get more of the questions right than we did the first time, just from studying those notes as much as we did, which we did. And that just, made you feel better, like you're retaining the information.
And one thing I will say, when you're going through the questions, if you get to a question, you know the answer to a question, fine. Don't spend a whole lot of time trying to dissect every part, of that question and go into detail. Because that's what initially I had a problem with, and she would always get on me about, because if they would ask, let's say for instance, they asked a question about the heart, then I would just want to know every single thing about, the heart or the physiology of the heart, or the anatomy of the heart, whatever the case was. And don't get so bogged down in that per se.
Right.
I would say if you know it, great. If you don't know it, that's when you really need to sit down and figure out, okay, what is it about this question that I don't understand? And even in the answer choices, if there's the answer choices that are given, obviously if they relate to biology, you kind of want to know what, what's going on with those answer choices.
Right. So after we finished the DAT Destroyer and the Math Destroyer, then we were ready to start taking the timed practice test. And for that, we used DAT Vault, DAT Boot Camp, and Crack the P. I think we used a little bit of Crack the PAT towards the end. I'll post the links to all of these, including the 8-week study plan, in the bio section. So make sure to check that out if you want to refer to anything that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So DAT Vault. I think this was the most representative to the DAT, in my opinion, in terms of difficulty and just the way the questions were formatted. To me, it was very similar. Again, this is now 2018. We took the exam in 2014. I don't know how much things have changed, but it's definitely worth considering. I love DAT Vault. You know, even though we weren't scoring super high on it when we did do the practice test, it still felt like we were learning what we needed to learn for the test.
Yep, I agree. I mean, and the idea behind preparing for this big exam is not necessarily, you know, being successful the whole entire journey, your whole entire study journey, in terms of, you know, scoring high on the practice test, you know, getting every question right. That's not what it's about. I mean, you're not going to know everything. You want to just, the biggest thing is identifying your weaknesses and making sure that you build from that. Because even on test day, you're still not going to know everything. You're still never going to feel ready. And so, like I said, you know, just make sure, just use the questions as well as the answer choices that are given, and build your study guide material from that.
Right. So with DAT Bootcamp, it was a little bit more difficult, especially the math.
Yes, the math was
but
beast.
Obviously that's just preparing you for when you actually take it. When we took the actual DAT, the math was surprisingly easy.
Yeah, and for me, you know, math is, I mean, I'm not a math whiz by any stretch of the imagination. So I feel like math was one of the harder subjects for me. Just the, you know, especially considering the time that we were given on the DAT to complete all of the questions. But yeah, when I got to the real test, the math portion was surprisingly a lot easier than DAT Bootcamp.
And for me, I got an A in every single math class I took, but it was still challenging for me to prepare for the DAT, the math portion of the DAT, for some reason.
Yeah, so you just want to toot your little horn there. You got an A in every math class.
Well, my score on the math portion of DAT doesn't even reflect that, so I'm not a math whiz.
But I just have to let y'all know.
Anyways, so for the reading portion and the PAT portion, we kind of put those off to the end, which probably wasn't the smartest thing. We focused so much on the sciences, and our scores reflected that. But I mean, we still made it. So
we're here, right? But I remember, like, the reading, that was, I feel like I'm saying this about every section, like that was one of my harder sections. So the reading comprehension section, it literally kind of made me feel as like, man, you know, am I really not comprehending this? You know, because it was kind of tough. I mean, the passages are extremely long.
Right.
You don't have enough time. The passages are extremely boring. And then they give you these questions that aren't the easiest of questions, and then you have to sift through all of these passages. So I think that's where the issue was for me, and especially going through the practice test. You know, contending with the time, contending with the fact that the information is boring. It's not easy to follow. So, but you get through it. You kind of learn tips and tricks in terms of, you know, skimming the article, and then, you know, reading the questions, and then kind of going back and extracting the information that they want instead of just reading the whole entire article. Because you just don't have enough time to do that.
Yeah, so you have to kind of try to look at the questions first and then go back to the article versus doing it the other way around. And when you're taking notes during the actual DAT, make sure you write down hot points in the article so that when you get to the questions, you'll know already, you know, certain things like the main idea and different things like that.
Yeah.
So when we were taking the practice tests for the reading sections, we were scoring very low. Even like the day before we took our test, we were still scoring low. And I mean like 15s and 16s. Like we just were not comfortable with those scores. But on the actual day when we took it and we saw our score, it was hard to believe. And surprisingly, we both did good in reading, even though we were both struggling. So that worked out.
So that's a testament to, you know, kind of the struggle that you have to endure, you know, while you're studying to get to the ultimate end goal.
Right. So with the PAT, we actually tried to find a way to cheat the system with this one. Playing with the answer choices, you know, trying to figure out where they were going with it. Obviously, it didn't work. The PAT was the section that we both scored the lowest in. And like I said, we probably studied for the PAT for about a week, if that. We really tried to cram it in, and looking back,
it was really rushed.
It was too rushed. I mean, it was impossible to really study for. There's 6 sections of the PAT. And so what we found a few days before our test, what we found was that it's probably just best to focus on 3 sections and master those. That way you can score super high in those 3 parts of the PAT, and you'll have room to miss, you know, a lot more in the other 3 parts. And so the 3 parts that we found to be the easiest for us were the cube counting, the angle ranking, and the hole punching. Okay, so I mean, this video is not about telling you how to master these sections, so we're not going to get into that, but definitely look for resources that tells you how to tackle these sections and then master those versus trying to get everything, because it's just way too much. I mean, you can if you want to, but all you need is a certain score to get into dental school. You don't need a 30, so you know, why work hard when you can work smart? The other sections, keyhole, top front end, and pattern folding, those were ridiculous. Just not happening. We kind of just gave up on those. The day of the test, we actually both wanted to push our test date back. We did not feel ready.
And we were actually going to push the test back until we realized we had an exam, because we were in school at the time. I think we had an exam that was coming up shortly after our original test date of September 11th, which is the day that we actually ended up taking the test. And so we was like, okay, it doesn't make any sense. If we push the test back, we're not going to be able to study for both. Something is going to have to give. And obviously we didn't want our grades to suffer because we were still in the application process, and these were still courses that we needed to reflect very positively on our transcripts. So we ended up keeping the test date the same.
Right, and the thing about it is that you're never going to feel ready because it's just way too much information, especially for biology. It's way too much, so you'll never feel like you have it all. So I definitely feel like try to spend no more than 8 weeks studying, because the longer you spend, the more likely you are to forget something that you started off with earlier in the studying process. And also, you know, you just kind of get bogged down with it. You know, just study and get it over with.
Yeah, that's why I said I would recommend, like she said, 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 8 good weeks.
Yeah.
If at all possible, these 6 to 8 weeks should be 100% devoted to studying for the DAT. In
isolation, just studying sun up to sundown. That's it.
Going to the library if that works for you. If you can study at your house, your apartment, wherever you study best, you know, find that place, study there. But you don't really need a lot of distractions. You know, if you study with others, and if that works well for you, consider that. But also, you don't want to get, you know, bogged down with studying with other people if they're a distraction to you. You know, you want to make this time most impactful.
And also, we forgot to mention, David needed to do really good on the organic chemistry section.
Yeah, I did. Because mind you, if you haven't checked out our other videos, I kind of explained that my whole journey with organic chemistry wasn't the best. So I failed Orgo 1 the first time, and I had to end up retaking that course. So that was already kind of a strike against me, so to speak. So I knew that to redeem myself, I would have to score a lot higher on the Orgo section of the DAT to kind of make up for that failure. And so I was kind of stressing out because when I was taking the DAT QVault test and when I was studying for the Orgo section, for most of the time, I felt as if I just wasn't grasping the information. I wasn't understanding it. It wasn't the things that I were learning. I didn't feel like I could apply it. They weren't applicable to other questions, other Orgo questions that I would encounter. So I just did not have a good feeling about it at all. And I mean, there were even times, y'all, when I took the DAT QVault test and I would score so bad on those tests. It was so depressing, and I would just go to the bathroom and I would just be crying. I was just like,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I was just going there. I mean, because it was just like, I just was like, I am failing these tests. Like, what am I going to do? Is you get to a point where it's like, I just don't know what to do. But I'm here as a testament to say that I went through that experience. So I know how it feels to, score lower on those practice tests and, have that feeling that, okay, I'm not going to live up on the real test. But like I said, these practice tests are designed to prepare you for the real thing. And that's exactly what it did for me. It prepared me because on the real test, the Orgo section was my highest scoring section. So, and I think that was a testament to the fact that those QVault tests that I took, the DAT bootcamp, all the resources that we've mentioned were very difficult, were very challenging, and it prepared me for the real thing. I was ready on game day. So
that really made me sad.
But I had to be strong in front of her. I couldn't let her know. But,
wow.
The
day of our test, yeah, we prayed like we never prayed before.
I know.
We went in and we took the test. And man, when our scores popped up at the end, I think we both felt like are these sample scores to just show us what our real scores are going to look like?
Yeah, because surely these aren't our scores.
Right. Especially, considering the fact that we were just getting 15s and 16s the day before.
Yeah. Did not feel all that confident at all. So, and then the thing about the Orgo section, and I know it feels like I'm jumping around, but during the actual real DAT, I ended up running out of time on the Orgo section. And I had to finish the last, 5 to 10 questions, I would say. The last 5 to 10 questions, I had to kind of read the question and answer it in a haste. I didn't necessarily guess on it, but I kind of was able to read the question and kind of had to move quickly. So that even speaks more to, how well I was prepared for the Orgo section.
And not to keep talking about grades, but I got an A in Organic Chemistry 1 and Organic Chemistry 2. He failed Organic Chemistry 1, and his DAT score was higher than mine in the Organic Chemistry section. So, I don't know, maybe I just got too comfortable and I wasn't trying to study as hard as him, but that just goes to show that, grades don't mean that much. Exactly. Just because maybe you failed a course, don't feel like you can't do this, don't give up. Or, if you feel like you're getting all A's and you're a straight A student, don't feel like you got it in the bag and you don't have to put much into studying. Just do what you have to do.
Yeah. It's a well-rounded applicant is what most dental schools are looking for, so.
All right, so I think that's all we have about the DAT as far as our studying went. If there's any questions that you have specifically or anything that we missed that you were hoping we would talk about, please let us know in the comments and we'll try to address it. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you found it helpful, and also subscribe to our channel so that you can keep up with all the videos that we post about our dental school journey.
Don't forget to hit that notification button so that way when we post new videos, you'll be the first to know. All right, y'all. Y'all be easy. Next time.
Bye.
That was a pretty stupid video.
You think so?